And it's live. Finally, Safaricom had a problem. So today I want to talk about what happened. Rose Muhando went to Neno Evangelism Center. It's on Helsilasi Avenue, the junction between Helsilasi Avenue and Uhuru Highway. So she went there. There was a meeting today between the church members. I think they congregated today, and she was called upon by a certain person, one of the tenants of the church. And when she came forward, she came in a disturbed state. She fell on the ground. It seems that demons had possessed her or something of that sort. And the pastor at that center, he's called Pastor Nganga, he started praying for her. He started trying to exorcise those demons out of her. And eventually they were exorcised. And then some people don't believe her account, the account that happened there. They don't believe it because she shifted her skirt. So when a demon is possessing you and you're still conscious of your skirt, the movements of your skirt, it causes a bit of suspicion. And that suspicion has led people to believe that miracle was not a miracle, that it was fake. And I am kind of the same opinion, that it was a staged miracle. And I want to analyze why we have this kind of church in Kenya. I never used to hear of this, but now we are hearing of it more often from the potassium permanganate story, and now we have Rose Muhando. I believe that Pastor Nganga needed her so that he could have legitimacy for for the miracles that he purports to perform at that center. So when I go through the history of Rose Muhando, then we might see why it's highly likely that this was not a miracle, but perhaps he was taking advantage of a woman who is in need. So I don't know if you remember Rose Muhando. She sang songs like Nibebe. That is the one I know completely, and I've sung to it, and I think you've sung to it, and most of us had a ringtone to it. Most of us who were into Christianity a lot. And then she sang Nibariki and Nakupenda. I think those are her most popular songs. So when she was written on the ground, she was claiming that her manager was the one who had sent demons upon her. They had dug a ditch around her house, and that ditch, I think it was part of that demonic ritual to harm her. So anyway, she says that it's the manager's fault for what is happening to her, including her inability to produce hits, right? And so there's this song by Rose Muhando, which is very interesting, and I thought very, very interesting. It is called Woga Wako, and part of the chorus in that song goes like this: Umejiroga mwenyewe, umejimaliza mwenyewe. You get? And that shows you the irony of life, that she would blame her manager. And one of her songs says, Umejiroga mwenyewe, umejimaliza mwenyewe. So anyway, to go to Rose Muhando, she started her music career at Dodoma St. Mary's Choir for the Chimuli Anglican Church. Now, for those who remember the Anglican Church, King Henry VIII started it back in the day in medieval Europe. Now, he started it so that he could marry a lady called Anne Boleyn, so that he could divorce his wife and marry Anne Boleyn. And funny thing, I think he beheaded Anne Boleyn. He beheaded two women, two wives. One was, I think, Anne Boleyn, and another one I can't remember her name. He divorced two of them. One of them survived, and another one died. I think the first divorce, where he broke from the Catholic Church, was the one that survived, but I'm not sure. I will do that later in future. So anyway, Rose Muhando won the Tanzanian Music Award in 2004, so she was really moving ahead in life. She was really doing well. And then she signed a deal with Sony Music. It was the first deal of its kind in East Africa, and that was in 2011. So you can see how her life was progressing from from being a church member at just some small church, an Anglican church. She won an award in Tanzania in 2004, and then in 2011 now she signing a deal with Sony, a big music company. So things started going south in 2014, right? In 2014, she fell ill and she had to undergo surgery, and guys were saying that she would die. So it's a traumatic experience that seems to have occurred in 2014, and it seems sad by the way. And then soon after that, you started hearing that she was in a safe house. That's a rehabilitation center in Tanzania, and she had actually run away, so people are looking for her. So after this traumatic experience, you start seeing that they were moving up, now they are moving south, right? She was with Sony, everything is moving up, she had won concerts, but now after the surgery, it seems like things are not okay. So anyway, she ran away from home in Dodoma, and she said that a pastor was taking care of her bills at the rehabilitation center, and she accused the pastor of asking her to do dirty things so that he can pay for those rehab fees. So asking her pastor to do dirty things. I believe that she found a pastor by the name, and again the irony of life, she accused that pastor of doing dirty things because so that he could pay her rehab. Now she has found Pastor Nganga, who I believe is asking her to do a different kind of dirty thing so that he can gain fame and he can gain acceptance. His miracles can gain acceptance because Rose Muhando has a following, and her songs are still meaningful and they're still wonderful to listen to, even though the person there's a problem with her. So Bishop Nganga, we all know his problem. There's a woman who was hit by his Range Rover. It was alleged that he hit her. Boynet, our IG, said that no, it was not Pastor Nganga, it was someone called Simon Maina Kakuria. So that's how Kenya works. When you're rich and you can hit somebody else takes the fall for you. I think that's what happened in the Mercy Keino case also. So anyway, just not to focus on that, Bishop Nganga his wife took him to court because he had a daughter they had a child and he was not providing for the child. So the flamboyant bishop was not providing for the child, and the wife was asking for 537,000 per month to take care of that 1-year-old daughter. So anyway, we can see that already Rose Muhando, there are things that are not moving well, and we can see that Pastor Nganga over here, there's so many things that are not moving well, so many unchristian things. And what happens when people move towards that path? It ends up into what we're seeing today, where people have to do certain things to survive, that you cannot sustain yourself on the name of God. You have to do other things to help you sustain yourself, to help you sustain your reputation, to keep the income flowing if you're a pastor, or if you're a gospel singer, just to keep your name there and all those things. So just to focus on Kenya and Christianity in Kenya, I believe that Christianity has a lot of, it built Europe. Europe is what it is today because Christianity built it. And I believe it has a lot of good to offer. But Christianity in Kenya is failing. So why is it failing? There's this, Our Father, the prayer that Jesus taught. It says, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And that's what we keep forgetting. That yes, we'll get to heaven and everything will be good, everybody will be happy, right? But we can actually bring the will of God down here. If there will be no hunger there, then we can actually make sure that there's no hunger here. And especially when it comes to, now specifically when it comes to Catholics believe that the Catholic Church is the New Jerusalem. That's an actual belief that they have. And what do they say about the New Jerusalem? They say that a new heaven and a new earth will be built, and there will be no longer sea, and the holy city will come down from heaven, and it will be the voice of God from the throne. God will live among them in this holy city. They will be his people and he will be their God. So that's what it says about the New Jerusalem, and that's what Catholics believe, that the Catholic Church is the New Jerusalem. Here's a funny thing: he will wipe away all the tears from their eyes. There will be no more death, no mourning, no sadness, no pain. The world of the past has gone. So why is the world of the past with us here today in Kenya? Why are we living under poverty? if the New Jerusalem is the Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church has all of this truth to offer, then why do we have so many lies in this country? Somebody is failing. And let's say the Catholic Church is not the New Jerusalem. What if other churches were the New Jerusalem? Let's say like the Anglican Church, or even Neno Evangelism, right? Then why do we still have lies in this country when there should be a New Jerusalem over here, the dwelling place of God? So anyway, we are failing, and we are not fulfilling that verse in our prayer, that the will of God to be done here as it is in heaven. And how are we not doing that? One of the things is that politically, the Kenyan church is moving towards, is aligning itself with the political players in Kenya instead of aligning itself with the message of Christ. I will give you an example. Back in the day, the Catholic Church, it had an agreement with Adolf Hitler, and the agreement was that Hitler would leave the church alone to continue with its business, as long as the church did not interfere politically with whatever is happening in Germany. It was an agreement specifically based in Germany, and it was called the Concordat. It was an agreement between the Holy See, that's the let's say the Vatican, and the German Reich. The German Reich now is Hitler. So here in this case, the church wanted to preserve itself because it was fighting communism in the East, and now there's socialism that has risen in Germany, and Hitler was being very, very forceful, and they wanted to preserve themselves. And what happened? Hitler targeted the church. He killed, I think the largest concentration of religious people who were killed in Germany were Catholic priests. And after some time, Hitler started practicing some euthanasia. He started euthanizing people who are lepers, people who are sick, and then he started he encouraged abortions. And eventually the church, because these teachings are very alien to the church, the church had to produce a document, very important document in the Catholic Church, to refute everything that Hitler is doing. So in the end, the church had to fight Hitler. And it was what happens in Kenya. When you align yourself with the political class, eventually it will swallow you up. And that's what happened during the No campaign. The political class was swallowing up the church. Right now, what is happening now, the abortion debate, the church is losing the abortion debate. Why? Because every time you try to survive, instead of trying to maintain your principles, then whatever you're trying to survive, whatever you're trying to hide from, it will come for you. And it's coming for the church right now. And it won't stop. Abortion is there. Soon there'll be taxes on the church. The progress has started. And it's because the church aligns itself with it's trying to survive instead of trying to fight for principles. So anyway, so that was that. I wanted to give an example in Kenya. When Cardinal Njue became the cardinal, when he became cardinal of Kenya, I think that was 2007. One of the first things he did was that he went and denounced federalism. Raila was proposing federalism at that time, and he denounced it. That was the first thing, and I was a bit surprised. I was kind of like, why is that? How is that the first agenda? And how is federalism now a threat to, I think, Catholic principles and all that kind of things? Because I didn't understand it. Socialism, I understand how it threatens the Catholic Church. Communism, I understand how it threatens the Catholic Church. Federalism, I do not know. I do not see. And that was a political stand. And I believe he made that stand because he supported Kibaki. I think he was being tribal. And when you do that, you lose the faith of part of your congregation. Because my friends who were part of the ODM, they felt very hurt. And even when his priest started preaching pro-PNU propaganda in church, my friends were very, very hurt. And I think that I was back. Okay, it was very sad for me. Again, these things can happen. So anyway, I want to say something. Again, the church cannot it should not distance itself from politics. It should always fight, but fight for the right things. And I want to give an example from Isaiah. Isaiah says, learn to do good, search for justice, discipline the violent, be just to the orphan, plead for the widow. Is the church pleading for the widows? How about the orphans? Is the church talking about violence, what's happening in Kenya? Is it searching for justice? What is the church searching for in Kenya? And that's something that we need to know. And again, I'll always say, if you decide that you don't want to fight for principles, you want to fight to survive, then at the end of the day, whatever you're hiding from will come and eat you up. So anyway, so the church, I believe it's failing in terms of politically what it's supposed to be doing. Economically, the church is also failing. And this is what the church is focusing on. Instead of focusing on principles, it's focusing on increasing the wealth of its officials, instead of focusing on the welfare of its congregation. Note that I say the welfare of its congregation, not the wealth of its congregation. Right? And then the church is also sabotaging our economy. It's sabotaging our economy. Okay, so on the first point, I think you've seen Reverend Natasha. She has a Toyota Harrier, she has a Toyota Fortuner, I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, and then she has a Mercedes Benz, and that's one point. And she's surrounded by bodyguards of Ben 10s. And that's Reverend Natasha. So you're wondering, what kind of gospel is this one? Because I didn't see Jesus riding in chariots, similar to what the Roman emperors were riding in. But anyway, people have different versions of Christianity. So they are forcing that. And how are they doing this? They're trying to force people to pay tithes, and because that's their main source of income. And there's a Catholic priest actually in Uganda who's trying to say that the government should take tithes on behalf of the church members. That was tried back in the day. I think it was early medieval Europe. They tried it. No, actually it was sort of like early medieval Europe. They tried that kind of stunt where the Catholic Church the king would pick tithes on behalf of the Catholic Church and the nobles. And what happened is that the nobles were very violent when picking tithes from the peasants, and at times they didn't want to remit those tithes to the Catholic Church. So in the end, it just went up in smoke. And so this Ugandan bishop, I think he's a bishop, I'm thinking, why is he focusing on tithe when Uganda is one of the poorest countries in Africa? Because the nominal per capita income in Kenya is 1,552. That's, I think, shillings. Oh, it's dollars. Yeah, this is shillings. 1,550. Oh no, this is dollars. $1,552 in terms of nominal income, and Uganda is 692 in terms of nominal income. So Uganda is very, very far much behind. But the bishop is focusing on people paying tithe. Okay, so anyway, JCC, the Catechiuna said that tithing is an obedience issue. You cannot be a tither and remain poor. And again, so that's the kind of reason most of Kenyans we are poor. Most of Africa is poor. So anytime somebody will tell you that you can become wealthy just by doing this small thing, then we are likely to believe that person, because you don't want to be poor. Who wants to be poor? And this is the kind of reasoning that they give us. They sell us hope, right? And we give in because we have tried everything else. The system is so skewed against us that perhaps this is what would it cost? Let me just try it, because everything has failed. And in the end, we end up enriching Catechiuna. Reverend Natasha can buy more Benzes. And okay, I'll touch on the priest later. So I wanted to give an idea of what the Catholic Church teaches when it comes to tithe. And this, I think, you will talk to a priest on your own. Me, I just give you what I know. The Council of Trent, which was back in the day, it says that tithes are due to God and that withholding them is immoral. So that's the Council of Trent. However, right now, the Catechism of the Catholic Church preaches that there is no amount, there is no percentage that is due to the church. You are to give as you can. There is no percentage attached to it. That's the Catechism of the Catholic Church. Now, for those who don't understand how the Catholic Church works, rules can only change when they move closer to what Christ was preaching. So it's kind of like that this rule was changing from the time of Trent, and now it's moving closer to what Christ taught. And the apostles, they did not tithe. I've never heard of the apostles tithing. And the laws changed. Like it was no longer now that you do not steal, but if somebody takes your coat, you give him another coat. And the law of tithing also changed, such that you are not only to give a tenth, but you're to give everything that you can. Everything that you can. And that's why the church was very wealthy back in the day, because when people died, they gave everything back to the church. Bill Gates also wants to give, I think, 90% back to the church. And the kings, the countesses, that's what they used to do, and that's how the church was rich. Anytime we focus on tithe, the Catholic Church will continue being poor. Because anyway, let me leave it at that. And again, I need to remind you, the Catholic Church tried that tithing stuff. It didn't work well, including forcing people to tithe through the king, and it didn't work well. So anyway, I just wanted to touch on that. I'm about to finish. Again, there was that problem at St. Mary's where the Assumption sisters were fighting with some Father Freda from the American missionary. So we lose our focus. They were fighting, the Assumption sisters and Father Freda were fighting for St. Mary's. St. Mary's it's a 3 billion mission hospital, and it serves a lot of people in Nairobi and Elementaita, and they were fighting over that. Those are two Catholics, one sisters and the other father, fighting over something that should be for the poor, losing focus. And it's very sad for the Catholic Church, because I'm a Catholic. Anyway, so William Ruto, he's given a lot of money to churches. Where is this money coming from? And if churches are accepting money that is taken from the economy, and then because what they usually do is that a politician gives money to the church, and then the church it starts building something, and it needs someone to build it, and then a company associated with the person who gave money to the church, he gets that contract, and then he gets his money back. So that's what usually happens. You give money to the church starts a project, you get the money to that project, the contract to that project, and that's how your money comes, and a bit remains with the church. So anyway, that's sabotaging our economy, because these people are not stealing they're stealing from poor. So anyway, there was a Catholic priest who was caught. He was from Kiambu, Kamba parish in Githunguri, and he was accused of impregnating girls and asking them to procure abortions. And I felt that was very, very, very sad, because the Catholic Church is very much against abortion, very much. And here's a priest asking young ladies to abort, girls to abort. And again, we lose our focus, because we're turning the church, especially the Catholic Church, we're turning it into an administrative center, where the priest, his work is just administering small groups. And then the missionary, the Great Commission, where Christ told them to go and preach the good news, it's being diluted, it's dying, and we need to revive it. Okay, so when it comes to other churches like JCC, telling women to move to bedsitters so that they can get men, the church is not only destroying the economy, not only enabling politicians, but it is also destroying the family, because it is the materialism that people see in Reverend Natasha, in Kathy Kiuna. The people want that kind of materialism. When people, when they tell them to move to bedsisters so that they can have people in Lavington can marry them, then what happens to the people what happens to building something slowly, right? What happens to that verse that says, through perseverance you will yield a harvest? What happens to that verse, right? And when it comes to Mavuno was using sexual, it's when you have sexually charged posters or statements, it's a form of marketing, and Mavuno is using that. So if you use the same tactics as other people use to promote sex, then are you really a church? Mavuno has changed since then, so I think it's good right now. Anyway, so let me finish. Should we judge these people? Should we judge? Do not judge, and ye will not be judged. That's a very, very basic verse, right? Very basic verse. Do not judge and ye shall not be judged. I want to give another verse from Matthew. I think this is chapter what? It's chapter 18. And it says that when one, specifically to Rose Muhando, when one sheep goes astray, or even Pastor Nganga, going astray is okay. We all go astray, right? And Jesus said, a sheep out of 100, one can go astray. And we should look for them, bring them back home. And Jesus says about this, yes, you should not judge these people, but you could correct them. If your brother does something wrong, go with him and talk to him alone. If he doesn't listen to you, go with 2 other people. Talk about it again. And if he doesn't listen to you again, then go to the community. Talk to the community. Like I think right now people are talking to the community. And if they don't listen, then just let them be. Let them be. Do not judge them, just let them be. Right? And do not follow their ways. Right? But do not condemn these guys, whatever they're doing. Just bear with them for a while. Just bear with them, because we all stray. And then eventually, when guys perform like Pastor Warren and the others, when these guys do these fake miracles, you should understand, okay, we should understand that in Matthew chapter 7, I think it's verse 21, it says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? Did we not drive out demons in your name? Did you not do mighty deeds in your name? And then Jesus will say, I never knew you. Depart from me, you evildoers. So I'm not saying that Jesus will tell this a war, but I'm just saying, when these guys do fake miracles, let them be. Try and correct them, but eventually if they don't listen, let them be. At the end of the day, people will answer, because God will not be mocked. And it says here, then I will declare to them solemnly, I never knew you. Depart from me. So anyway, again, I would not advocate for the closure of such churches, or now starting to tax those churches. Whatever you give to the church is a donation. You can't tax donations, right? It's wrong morally. So anyway, yes, I believe that we should not prevent it. And this is what John said to Jesus. Teacher, we saw someone driving out demons in your name, and we tried to prevent him because he does not follow us. Jesus replied, do not prevent him. There is no one who performs a mighty deed in my name who can at the same time speak ill of me. So, miracles, whether they are fake or they are true, let them do whatever they want. As long as somehow, some way, if they speak to just one person, if Pastor Nganga speaks to just one person and then he convinces them to change their lives or to start reading the Bible, and then this person eventually discovers that Pastor Nganga is a bad person, right? Or he performs bad miracles, then that initial day when he started reading the Bible, that day was worth it. And we do not stop anybody from that day, because we all speak differently to people. And perhaps Pastor Nganga, he's speaking differently to people. He's fake to us, but perhaps he'll get somebody, one, to start reading and to start analyzing. And then who knows? From that, if that person continues that journey, then it's all perfect. Anyway, so I'll just leave it at that today. I've spoken a lot. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.